Cheryl here. Today we're going to be going over Cowboy Bebop, the original animated series, episode 1, otherwise known as Asteroid Blues, which I am so looking forward to because blues is so instrumental in this series. And jazz and all the music, it's so good. But we do have a special guest with us today. So everyone say hi to Cheryl. She's going to be sitting around chiming in. I think it's safe to say that she enjoys the series and she'll be hanging out with us. So let's get started.
Okay, three, two, one, let's jam.
The opening of the series is a little bit different than I remember. I guess it opens up with this noir feel, which comes and goes throughout the series. It's definitely a piece of Cowboy Bebop, but it's not something I fully remembered. So it was a little bit of a surprise to me when that's how the first episode opened up, but I am definitely looking forward to seeing how they play around with that aspect. And then right away, opening credits, an entirely different feel to everything. The art style, the colors, the music, you're just jamming out to everything, and it's so good. It brings back all the memories of the show. Then we dive in. There's Spike, who we come to know very well in this series. He's doing some martial arts in a little tiny corner of the ship. That's somebody else cooking, which I had forgotten until we rewatched this episode and I guess the next few episodes, how much food is like a quintessential back and forth and inside joke amongst the characters on this show. It is just great to see it get brought up in so many different ways. We find out that these guys are some bounty hunters that are going after some people to get some money. And I don't know, maybe they're not very good bounty hunters because they seem to not have enough money to do the food that they want to do on the ship. So maybe they just got to get better about it. Well, turns out that maybe they are decent or somewhat decent bounty hunters, but all their money's going back to paying for the repairs that they have to do and things that they've destroyed over the course of their bounty hunting. As we'll get further into the season, you will definitely see where those repairs come into play and why it's done. Oh man, they just destruction and mayhem follow them sometimes. Space travel. We all think about this glorious way that we can all be in space and be roaming around the stars going to visit other planets. But what I love about this show is they take the modern day annoyances, they will take that idea that we all have, the glamorous idea, and they kind of bring us straight back to reality. A ship's coming through, it's entering whatever atmosphere where we are, and you've got this little loudspeaker telling you to be cautious, danger's happening, or stay in your lane, there's other ships, be careful. And it just brings you back to those crowded international airports where there's too many people moving around back and forth, and how you've got to be given instructions on where to go and what to do. And it's just grounding the series in a way that a lot of space travel shows don't. There's a tagline at the end of this episode, and I think several of the episodes, that say, "See ya, space cowboy." And this is really our introduction to Cowboy Bebop and the world that this show takes place in. We see behind a bar, there's a guy in an old school vest with the bow tie, and he's got a rag and he's washing off some mugs. There are a few old gentlemen chilling at a table. They've got a ton of cigarettes, a lot of cigarettes, some mugs of beer, and they're just complaining about what their livelihood is and how they're not doing so well in life. And in walks this guy, and this dame comes in through the door, and you just know something's gonna happen with these two. Now, this gentleman may look a little bit familiar because we'll tie it back later on, but he is in fact on a wanted poster worth a little bit of money that Spike was talking about before. So we know that he's probably not up to any good, and that the lady who's with him, maybe she's in on it, maybe she's not. We'll see how this goes throughout the episode, but we do know that this guy is really doing something a little shady. He goes into the back room with the bartender. He's showing off some drug he's carrying around. Now, this drug that this fine young gentleman takes clearly has some effects. He's seeing in different colors. His perception's a little bit out there, and we're not sure what it's really doing to him, but he was willing to use it on himself, so who knows? But few seconds later, we see some other bad guys coming after him, and they've got guns ablazing, kicking in the door, going after him, and he is able to use his perception that has been enhanced and, get out of the situation and dodge some bullets and take down these guys and get out of there. So maybe this drug that the syndicate is after, is worth something. We'll find out. We will find out. While all this gunfighting is going down, Spike is meeting with this mystical being who, mystical or hopped up on something, we don't really know, but apparently they're involved in mysticism and giving some advice. What that advice is really worth, we'll find out. But this is kind of the first introduction of Cowboy Bebop and these characters that get introduced, these side characters that are a little off, a little bit stereotypical, well, actually, a lot stereotypical. It's the Japanese version or understanding of some certain American cultures. So there's definitely some stereotyping that occurs. But maybe one of the things that has aged less well with this show, pretty quickly their paths cross, and Spike is able to insinuate himself into the scenario where he's got what he needs to get using some street smarts and sleight of hand and his overall bounty hunting skills to get him to where he needs to be. And once things are in the open, we realize that, that earlier gun scene of all those shots being fired and all the destruction in the bar, that's all small potatoes. So it's also clear later on that this lady who was with the fine gentleman was not actually pregnant, but she was using that as a disguise herself in order to smuggle some more of the drugs. And so she's in on everything. And this whole ending of season one, episode one, is just this chaotic love story. Bonnie and Clyde running away with this drug that they're trying to sell, make some money, escape over to Mars, and have a new life together. And clearly, that's not exactly what's going to happen with these two individuals. I think it's safe to say that Cowboy Bebop episode one has gotten the Sherlock seal of approval.